What is a good life? For me, I've always imagined a good life to be one filled with everything I've ever wanted. I was actually cosmically intrigued when I was asked to prepare a presentation on this subject because I've been fantasizing about my ideal life every day for months on end. It helps me get to sleep at night, and you'll understand why soon enough. In my fantasies, I'm married to someone extremely talented that I respect and admire, which would be hairstyles, of course. Yeah, you look at me and we can both agree I'm a little bit deranged. But we're together conquering the world. I'm a director slash actor slash writer slash producer, in what universe, who makes transcendental films about the human condition and the issues we face, which again, we'll get to that soon, while he goes on to become the greatest artist of our generation. By the way, he's literally 3 weeks older than me, so the age is kind of perfect. Also, I have an amazingly toned body in my fantasy. I'm extremely body positive, and I love my body, but let's all admit the truth. We want to meet society's standard of beauty. It's ingrained in us. But back to my life with Harry. We'd adopt 4 daughters and raise them to be the most empathetic and driven individuals who will take over the country. One becomes president, another destroys Jeff Bezos with a real, better retail platform, and the third creates an entertainment and news giant that is unbiased, reports local news from around the country, and has a free streaming service with the best programming. The last daughter will take down Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg by becoming a tech giant. And their partners would be running like every other job sector in the country. And then just like that, they create a socialist democracy. That's my fantasy and my dream. But will that ever happen in the United States? Hell no. But a guy can dream, right? That is my good life, my happiness, in my own bubble world where we turn this planet around and do good for our collective humanity instead of constantly driving full force off the cliff of survival into a chaotic hellscape. We all have our vision of what a good life is, but for every individual out there, there's one good life that we collectively share, and that good life is drowning in a viscous pool of greed, not unlike the recent oil spill off the coast of California. We're basically like birds desperately trying to fight our way out of a poisonous environment, and the only problem is that the oil just keeps on coming. The good life, much so related to oil spills, is one where we live and thrive together on a healthy planet. That's our collective good life, and the one I'll be talking about. Is it attainable? We'll see. And that's because it's up to all of us to ensure it happens. I'll warn you from the start, this presentation is not going to be an uplifting message, but it's the message we all need to hear, and about how to attain a good life. And hopefully we can find solace in learning more about that, which boils down to happiness. But first, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. My name is Nick Austin, my pronouns are he, they, and I'm a journalist. I'm 27, born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. I went to New York University to get a master's in cinema studies because my favorite passion is the medium of film and television. I love to talk and write all about these mediums, whether it's interviews with actors and filmmakers or criticism of a new film or a new show. But what I mostly enjoy talking about and writing about is LGBTQIA plus representation in media and the systemic oppression my community faces, specifically my trans brothers and sisters and theys. When it comes to politics, I'll make this clear. If I'm not fighting for my community, then what purpose do I have in this life? So, what this all culminates to is an intense drive to change this world and challenge people who say otherwise. At first, it was ensuring positive representation on the screen, as well as fighting for opportunities for my queer community, who have been historically excluded from success in filmmaking. And then after that, it went on to politics. All I could talk about over the summer was the athletic bans passed in multiple states that restricted trans and non-binary individuals from competing on a sports team that identifies with their gender, or genderless teams. I took queer politicians to task like Kirsten Sinema for how she turned her back on not only her queer community, but the entire state of Arizona and the entire country also. And then I broadened my scope. I started looking at issues for queer individuals in other countries where death or immigration were the only options. But that wasn't enough. I focused on issues across the United States and the world at large. Did I feel happy doing this? Was I living a good life? No, I wasn't. When I think of the good life and happiness, what comes to mind is a line Michelle Yeoh's Eleanor says to Constant Wu's Rachel Chu in Crazy Rich Asians. Happiness is an illusion. And I actually agree with that sentiment. Happiness can only be achieved if we choose to be happy. Right now we're living in a world where billionaires just acquire wealth and plan to leave us stranded on a dying planet. Yes, thank you for that, Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson and all the other billionaires who will be doing it soon. Living in the United States, we have historic flooding on the East Coast and historic wildfires in the West. Climate change is accelerating at a rapid rate. States are taking away personal freedoms from women and LGBTQIA+ populations. Voting laws are being implemented to make voting more difficult for low-income families and Black populations. Fascism is slowly creeping in state by state. Thanks to the lack of funding given to local news, catastrophes like the Flint water crisis and the ongoing pollutant crisis created by DuPont won't be covered in the future because those stories started as local news features. Without local news, we won't have the same information we need in times of crisis. And with the spread of misinformation and extreme partisanship, we've become an ignorant and hateful civilization that can't get anything accomplished. So a lot of horrible things are happening, and I'm just talking about my country. And I also did forget police brutality, systemic racism, the prison industrial complex, and the lack of resources for homeless populations. Yeah, we've got a lot to fix. This sounds like the opposite of the good life, right? But here's the thing. We have the knowledge of what's going on. We know that having this information is powerful. We have the opportunity to solve these problems. There's a double-edged sword when it comes to the power of the individual to solve issues of such a large scale. Individual change doesn't feel like it yields results, and yet we're bombarded daily about things we're doing wrong as the individual and the things we should be doing to make a change. But does donating money to a politician or signing a petition really do anything? Does switching from plastic straws to compostable ones solve climate change? We get trapped in a shame cycle where we're told things that barely make an impact are going to save us, and we blindly follow it because it's all we think we can do by the limitations constructed by society. And once we realize that our small part isn't making a difference, we stop. Because what's the point? So what should we do to actually live a good life? Well, first we need to break this cycle. If we all focus on the root of the issue and research the best way to solve a problem, then we can come together and force change. Change doesn't happen by following those in charge who are telling us what to do. Active protesting forced changes in so many countries for civil rights. We have to find a way to come together to keep ourselves informed and to follow what's happening in this world with workable solutions presented. We need to find the voices of those with the answers who are crushed down by the largest voices in the world. My mission for anyone watching or listening to this, please find a way to bring our global community together. If there isn't an app to do such a thing, then let's create it. If it's already been created, then why aren't we using it? To actually achieve happiness, we need to fight for our lives. Honestly, I haven't been happy. I'm on multiple antidepressants and I'm seeing a therapist because of how angry and upset I am with how this world is collapsing. Most times, I don't feel happy. But I do feel happy when I help enforce a positive change in this world. I'm happy when I know the solution to a problem and want to make that change. I am happy having that knowledge. And I'm happy when we take a stand to demand change for ourselves and our home. We can choose to be happy because happiness, as a concept, is an illusion. It's something we can control. It's hard to live the good life right now, but we can if we fight for it, and I hope we all do. The first step is knowing the information you need to make a change. Find a reputable source, research solutions, and share. Share it widely because we need everyone to be involved. and share it with me. The next step is to start a dialogue, get people talking and wanting to take action. We all have the ability to be change makers, and it doesn't have to be just one of us. We all should follow the leadership of figures like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, Greta Thunberg, AOC. We can all be like these influential and powerful figures if we choose to. That choice ensures that we can have a good life and that we can be happy. So let's start now.